What's up, Eagle Nation? Mr. Cook here. And first off, like the board says, I really do miss y'all. I'd do anything to be at school with y'all. And I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're taking care of your family. Hope you're washing your hands, making wise decisions. Second off, why am I wearing this vest? Why am I wearing this hat? Why am I carrying these scissors? That's a good question. Today we're going to be talking about technology, the intersection between engineering and life science. So let's get started. Hope you enjoy this video. All right, so engineering and life science. We're going to talk about how these two things connect and some important definitions that we should know about engineering and life science. So the standard we're going to deal with today is called 7.ETS 2.1, examine a problem from the medical field pertaining to biomaterials and design a solution taking into consideration the criteria, constraints, and relevant scientific principles of the problem that may limit solutions. We're not going to go into the depth of this standard, but we are going to talk about the intersection between engineering and life science. So what is engineering? Engineering is the application of science and mathematics to solve real-life problems. What is technology? Technology is the application of science for practical purposes, products, processes, and systems. Almost anything you can think of that humans have made is a technology, all right, or processes that humans have designed are also technology. And then what is biotechnology? Biotechnology is the use of living things to make products or perform tasks. So it's essentially technology, but when living things are involved in that technology. So, what are some organisms that are used as technology? One, bread. How is bread? How does that use an organism? Well, if you look at a piece of bread, there are little holes or areas in the bread where gas is expanded. That's because yeast, a living fungus, is a big part in making that bread. Similarly, cheese is made when milk has bacteria and fungi in it that helps culture it so that it can become a cheese. So those, when organisms make products like bread and cheese, that's an example of biotechnology. Also, organisms perform tasks as a means of technology. So if you look at the picture in the top left, we've got an oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and scientists have discovered that there are bacteria that will actually eat up and break down the oil in oil spills or just any oil. So often when this happens, bacteria will be placed near the oil so that it can break it down. That's really helpful because oil and water are not a good combination. Also, trained animals are a type of biotechnology, and they perform certain tasks. So for example, horses, humans ride on horses, horse-drawn carriages. If you look at this picture at the bottom, this is a dog leading a blind man. That's an example of biotechnology where the dog is involved in a process of helping this human. Carrier pigeons, like this picture up top here, where pigeons have carried messages. So these are when organisms are used as technology. Also, bottlenose dolphins, they're used as like a therapeutic measure. Technology that changes life. So we're going to talk about selective breeding. This is an intersection between engineering and life science. What selective breeding is it's the selection of naturally occurring traits within organisms for passage to offspring. So it's when scientists take things like dogs, corn, cows, and they breed them to select for certain traits. So in the example of the Belgian blue cow, they've essentially, or in this case a bull, they've essentially bred it so that it selected the traits for being super muscular. A lot of benefits to that, including more cuts of meat on a cow, potentially more ground beef, things like that. And then the corn right here, you may not know this, but corn was originally a grass. And so over time, the Native Americans actually selectively bred the corn for kernel size until they got this modern corn, this larger modern corn. And so that's an example of selective breeding. Then dogs. Dogs are probably the most common example. We see lots of different types of dogs, and they are selectively bred by humans to, we get a poodle and a golden retriever mix, right? We want these certain traits, and so they're going to mix in that way. Selective breeding is different from genetic engineering. Genetic engineering is the use of technology to modify DNA within a living cell. So where selective breeding is where humans breed animals to select for traits, genetic engineering is actually going into the organism and changing the DNA around. All right. This can be a really good thing because it can be our future of medicine, where we're fixing certain diseases that are genetic, right? But it's also pretty controversial, because what if you change the cells of a baby, right, who doesn't have a choice, things like that. Or your reproductive cells, so that all of your children have certain traits, right? So it's controversial, but it can be a really good thing. Lastly, technology that helps organisms. So again, the intersection between life science and engineering. We've got assistive and adaptive technologies. So think of things like canes, hearing aids, cochlear implants, which is this example on the top right here, which helps a child hear. It's going to assist humans or other organisms in helping them live functionally better. Medicines are things that help heal diseases, cure illness, or mitigate some of the harms of those illnesses. Then medical technology, things like stethoscopes, pictured here in the bottom left, that help doctors read heart rate, things like that. And then biomaterials, that's one of the most interesting things right now. Biomaterials, this arm is actually connected to the neurons in his brain. The synapses in his brain can actually control his fingers. He can actually pick up an egg with that, which is pretty crazy. So biomaterials are basically the interaction between technology that interacts with our neurons and our senses and allows us to function within that. All right, so make sure you look in the description and you click the link that will say quiz, all right, and complete that quiz. I've had a lot of you completing them, but let's get 100% here, trying to get all those quizzes complete. All right, let me know if you have any questions. You have my email and my phone number. Other than that, peace out, and look forward to our next video.